Good morning, children. Today we will study whenever you have an injury. You are small children, you may have fallen down many times in your childhood. And what do we see whenever an injury occurs? The blood flows for some time, for 2 3 minutes, and then it stops flowing. So, how does this happen? What happens? It's a jelly like structure is formed at the end of those blood vessels which stop the blood to flow. So this is known as blood coagulation or blood clotting. And a number of factors are responsible for this blood clotting. So what is clotting, children? Clotting is defined as the process in which blood loses its fluidity and becomes a jelly-like mass few minutes after it is shed or collected in a container. What is clotting? The process in which blood loses its fluidity. Instead of a liquid state, it changes into a jelly-like mass few minutes after an injury, or if we store it in a container, it will change into a jelly-like mass. Now, have you ever thought why this blood which is flowing inside the body does not clot? Because in our body there is a substance, a chemical known as heparin, excuse me, which acts as an anticoagulant, which does not let the blood to clot. So let us see what are the factors which are needed for blood clotting. It is a very small topic, very easy, so try to learn it as quickly as possible. Now see what are these factors. There are certain factors which are present in the plasma part of the blood. These are fibrinogen. We have read fibrinogen helps in blood clotting. Then there is prothrombin, thromboplastin and calcium. So, and there are certain other factors also. Otherwise, there are almost 13 factors which are needed for blood coagulation. But these are the main factors. So, let us see how it acts. Now, children, whenever an injury occurs at the site, wherever the injury may have occurred, what happens? The tissue releases platelets and clotting factor, prothrombin activator and calcium ions. See, wherever an injury occurs, what will the tissue where the injury has occurred will release platelets. Second thing, and a clotting factor that is known as prothrombin activator, or we also call it thrombokinase. We also call it thromboplastin also. So in many books you may read it like thromboplastin. So you can learn it like this only. The tissue releases platelets and thrombokinase and calcium ions. Calcium ions are very important. So wherever the injury occurs, what is released? Platelets and thrombokinase and calcium ions. What is thrombokinase, children? A prothrombin activator. Why it is said like this? Because prothrombin is in an inactive state, but whenever an injury occurs, this prothrombin activator will change prothrombin into thrombin. So this thrombokinase converts prothrombin into thrombin. See in the second line of the flow chart. So first the tissue releases platelets and thrombokinase. Now this thrombokinase converts prothrombin into thrombin. Now what does thrombin do? Thrombin converts fibrinogen into fibrin. Fibrinogen, you may have seen, it is responsible for blood clotting. So, and by the presence of thrombin, this fibrinogen converts into fibrin because it is in a fluid-like structure. Now it will change into fibrin. Fibrin will change into a network of thread-like structures. And what happens in this? All these blood cells which will assemble, it will not let them flow. So they will change into a clot. So it's very easy. First, platelets and thrombokinase are released at the site of injury. Then this thrombokinase and the calcium ions are also needed. Thrombokinase converts prothrombin into thrombin. Thrombin converts fibrinogen into fibrin, and fibrin helps in making your clot. Let's see when one more flow chart is there. See like this. Now what has happened? Prothromboplastine in the presence of calcium ions changes into thromboplastin. This will occur at the site of injury, and this will be released from platelets. So platelets release prothromboplastine, and when injury occurs, then only in the presence of calcium ions it changes into thromboplastin. Now what does this? Now thromboplastin will act as a catalyst and will convert prothrombin into thrombin. And now thrombin will work as a catalyst and will convert fibrinogen into fibrin. Now what is fibrin? Fibrin are polymers or a network of thread-like structures which will contain all the formed elements of the blood. Red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets, and change into a jelly-like structure and does not let the blood flow. So this is how your coagulation of blood occurs. Children, because it is very important for the clot to occur, otherwise a small injury may lead to a large amount of blood flow and we may suffer from anemia or any other problem, or sometimes it may lead to death also. There is a disease known as hemophilia, which is a genetic disorder, and it is passed from the parents to the progeny also. In these people, some clotting factors are missing, and this is bleeding disease. So whenever they have a small injury, large amount of blood flows, so they have to take a lot of precautions. So clotting of blood is very important, and it mostly occurs within 2 to 3 minutes or at the most 5 minutes. That our blood of our body does not get wasted. And in this, calcium ions are very important, which help in blood clotting. And if you remember, when blood is donated and kept, so calcium ions are removed from there. Why? That the blood may not clot. So calcium ions are very important for blood clotting. So quick revision. Tissue releases platelets, and platelets convert prothromboplastin into thromboplastin. Thromboplastin will convert prothrombin into thrombin. In both of them, calcium ions are important, and fibrinogen will convert into fibrin in the presence of thrombin. And what is fibrin? Polymers which contain all the formed elements of the blood, RBCs, WBCs and platelets. It's a small topic. Thank you. खत्म कर दिया। नहीं करूँगी बिल्कुल मन नहीं कर रहा था आज बनाया हुआ था। त्योहार वाला मूड में नहीं हो रही थी करने की, हो गया।